The restaurant's private dining room glowed with warm lighting and expensive decorations. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, casting elegant shadows across white tablecloths. I stood in the doorway, watching my family gather around the long table set for 25 guests. Dad's 60th birthday celebration was clearly well planned, though nobody had mentioned it to me. I'd only discovered it by accident when my sister posted photos on social media that morning showing the setup in progress. I'd driven across town with a vintage watch I'd bought for Dad 3 months ago, wrapped carefully in silver paper with a blue ribbon, his favorite colors. "Save me a seat?" I asked quietly, holding the gift I'd wrapped that morning. My mother turned from her conversation with Aunt Patricia, her face hardening instantly. The smile she'd been wearing vanished. "You're not invited. Real family only." The room fell silent. 24 heads turned toward me. My younger brother smirked from his seat near the head of the table, where he sat in what had always been my childhood spot. My sister wouldn't meet my eyes, suddenly finding her wine glass fascinating. "But it's Dad's birthday," I said, keeping my voice steady despite the heat rising in my chest. "Thomas is right," Dad said from his position at the center of the table, not even looking at me. He adjusted his napkin across his lap. "This is for blood relatives. You understand." Uncle Marcus laughed, his booming voice filling the space. "Come on, we all know she's been a burden since the adoption. Why pretend otherwise? Let's be honest for once." The laughter that followed felt like physical blows. Aunt Patricia nodded along enthusiastically, whispering something to the woman beside her. Cousins I'd grown up with, whom I'd babysat, helped with homework, attended their graduations, joined in. Even the family friends they'd invited, people who'd known me for decades, seemed amused by my exclusion. The restaurant staff by the bar looked uncomfortable, pretending not to notice. I placed the wrapped gift on the side table near the door. "Understood. Happy birthday, Dad." I walked out with my head high, hearing the conversation resume behind me before the door even fully closed. The drive home took 30 minutes. I didn't cry. I didn't call anyone. I simply went home, made tea, and sat on my balcony overlooking the city. The next morning, I went to work as usual. My assistant brought my schedule and morning briefing. Nothing had changed in my routine. The adoption papers my parents had signed 28 years ago might not have made me real family in their eyes, but those papers had done something else entirely, something they'd never bothered to learn about. My biological parents had been wealthy, very wealthy. When they died in a car accident when I was 6, their entire estate went into a trust with specific instructions. The couple who adopted me would receive a modest monthly stipend for my care, $2,000 a month, which seemed generous in 1996. The rest, all $38 million of it, would be managed by trustees until they turned 25. The adoption agency had explained all of this to my adoptive parents. They'd signed documents acknowledging the trust. They'd understood that I came with financial support for my care, but that the bulk of the estate was mine and mine alone, untouchable until my 25th birthday. I remember the social worker emphasizing this point during the placement meetings. "The child's inheritance is protected. You'll receive support for her care, but you're not adopting her for financial gain. Are you comfortable with that?" They'd said yes. They'd seemed excited, actually. A 6-year-old girl who came with her own care stipend and would eventually be financially independent. What could be better? At 25, I gained full control. That was 9 years ago now. Over those 9 years, I'd built that inheritance into something much larger: careful investments in emerging markets, strategic partnerships with tech startups before they went public, real estate acquisitions in developing neighborhoods. And one particular decision I'd made 3 years ago, when Dad's business hit a rough patch. He'd come to me, actually, knocked on my apartment door late one evening, looking exhausted. His tie was loosened, his shirt wrinkled. I'd never seen him look so defeated. "I need help," he'd said when I opened the door. "The business is failing. The bank won't extend our credit line." I'd let him in, made coffee, and listened to his pitch. The family manufacturing business, started by my grandfather in 1962, was drowning in debt after a bad expansion decision. They tried to break into a new market, invested heavily in new equipment and facility upgrades, but the contracts they counted on fell through. Now they were overleveraged, behind on payments, and facing potential bankruptcy. They needed $2 million to stay afloat. He'd spread financial documents across my coffee table, balance sheets, cash flow projections, loan statements, all showing the same story: Without an immediate capital injection, Anderson Manufacturing would be defunct within 6 months. I'll think about it, I'd told him. He grabbed my hands across the table, his eyes desperate. Please, we're family. I know we haven't always. I know things have been complicated. But this business is our legacy. Your grandfather built this. It employs 37 people. Families depend on us. Family. The word had almost made me laugh, but I kept my expression neutral. Give me a week. I'd done my research, looked at their books, their projections, their assets. The business was salvageable with proper management and a capital injection, so I made a decision. Through my investment firm, a company they didn't know I owned, I provided the $2 million, not as a loan to them directly, but as a secured credit line through their bank. My firm became the guarantor. The terms were simple: maintain quarterly revenue targets or the guarantee would be withdrawn. For 3 years, they met those targets. Barely, but consistently. The business stabilized. Dad even expanded again, this time successfully into automotive parts manufacturing. They hired 15 new employees, bought new CNC machines and industrial 3D printers, started a second shift to meet demand, and opened a small satellite office in the next state. At family gatherings, the ones I was occasionally invited to, usually holidays where my absence would be too obvious, I heard Dad boast about his business acumen, how he'd turned everything around through smart decisions and hard work, how he'd saved the family legacy through sheer determination and business savvy. Uncle Marcus, who joined as CFO after the turnaround, would nod and add details about their improved margins and growing client base. My brother would talk about his sales numbers. My sister's husband, brought on as operations manager, would discuss efficiency improvements. They built their success story, featured in the local business journal, won a Family Business of the Year award from the Chamber of Commerce. Dad was even interviewed on a local business podcast about overcoming adversity through leadership, never once mentioning the $2 million guarantee that made it all possible. Never once acknowledging that, without that invisible safety net, the bank would have foreclosed years ago. I'd never planned to tell them. The investment was performing well. My firm collected a modest fee. Everyone benefited. Why complicate things? But sitting on my balcony that night after the birthday party, I made a different decision. Monday morning, I called my attorney. The guarantee on the Anderson Manufacturing credit line, I said. I want it withdrawn. She paused. That's a significant decision. They'll have 30 days to secure alternative backing, or the bank will call the loan. I understand. May I ask why? Personal reasons. Understood. I'll file the paperwork today. The withdrawal notice would reach their bank by Wednesday. The bank would notify them by Thursday. They'd have until the end of the month to find $2 million in alternative backing or face immediate loan default. I went about my week normally: meetings, conference calls, business dinners. My firm managed 17 different investment portfolios now. The Anderson Manufacturing guarantee was just one line item among hundreds. On Thursday afternoon, my assistant buzzed my office intercom. Your father is calling. He sounds upset. I'm in meetings all day, I said. Friday, he called 6 times. I didn't answer. Saturday morning, my mother called. I let it go to voicemail. We need to talk, her message said, her voice tight. It's urgent. About the business. I deleted it. Sunday afternoon, my brother showed up at my apartment building. The doorman called up. A Thomas Anderson to see you. Tell him I'm not home. Monday brought silence. Tuesday as well. Wednesday afternoon, 5 days after the birthday party, I was in my office when my assistant knocked. There's a situation developing. Your phone has been ringing continuously. Your father, mother, brother, uncle, they all sound desperate. Hold all calls, I said. She hesitated. They're saying something about business loans defaulting. Should I? Hold all calls. That evening, I was reviewing quarterly reports when my personal phone buzzed. Not a call, a text from Dad. Please, we need to talk. The bank called the loan. We'll lose everything. Another text followed immediately. I don't understand what happened. They said our guarantee was withdrawn. Then another. Please call me. We're family. I set the phone down and returned to my reports. Thursday morning, Uncle Marcus called from an unknown number. I answered out of curiosity. What did you do? He shouted immediately. What the hell did you do? I'm sorry, who is this? You know damn well who this is. The bank said our loan guarantee was pulled by some investment firm. Then we did some digging. That firm is yours. You own it. I own several companies, I said calmly. You were our guarantor? This whole time? For 3 years, yes. Why would you pull it now? We've made every payment. We're not in default. The guarantee was voluntary. I chose to withdraw it. But why? Personal reasons. Personal reasons. We'll lose the business. 40 employees will lose their jobs. We'll lose the building, the equipment, everything. You have until the end of the month to secure alternative backing, I said. That's standard practice. Where are we supposed to find $2 million in 2 weeks? That's not my concern. You can't do this. We're family. The word hung in the air between us. Family. Real family only, I said quietly. Those were the exact words used. I'm just respecting those boundaries. That was just. We didn't mean. Uncle Marcus, I need to go. I have meetings. I hung up. The calls intensified. Dad left voicemails ranging from apologetic to angry to desperate. Mom sent text messages. My sister reached out through social media. I responded to none of them. Friday afternoon, my attorney called. The Andersons have hired legal counsel. They're threatening to sue for breach of contract. On what grounds? They're claiming the guarantee withdrawal was retaliatory and violated implied covenants of good faith. We had a contract with the bank, not with them. The contract explicitly states the guarantee can be withdrawn at any time, for any reason, with 30 days' notice. Send them a copy of the relevant clauses. Already done. Their attorney backed down within an hour. Anything else? They're asking if you'd reconsider. They've offered to pay higher fees for the guarantee. No. They've also offered a personal apology and family reconciliation. I laughed, actually laughed. No. Understood. That weekend, I heard through business contacts that Dad had approached every bank in the city. Nobody would touch them. A manufacturing business in a declining industry, over-leveraged with no assets beyond their mortgage building and aging equipment. Without a guarantee from someone with significant capital, they were unfinanceable. Monday morning, exactly 1 week after the calls began, my assistant informed me that the entire family was in the building lobby. All of them. Dad, Mom, Uncle Marcus, my brother, my sister, even Aunt Patricia. They're asking to come up. They say they'll wait as long as necessary. I considered this. Tell security to inform them they're trespassing. If they're not gone in 10 minutes, call the police. Are you sure? Completely sure. She left and returned 5 minutes later. They've left the building, but they're across the street, just standing there. I walked to my office window. 16 floors down, I could see them clustered on the sidewalk opposite, watching the building entrance. They stayed for 3 hours before leaving. That evening, Dad sent one final text. Please, I'm begging you. Tell me what I need to do to fix this. Tell me how to make this right. I typed out a response, then deleted it. Typed another, deleted that too. Finally, I wrote, there's nothing to fix. You made your position clear. I'm simply a non-family member managing my business investments. Nothing personal. His response came immediately. It was a mistake. We were wrong. You're our daughter, your family. Real family only, I wrote back. Your words. I'm just honoring your boundaries. We'll lose everything. You have 2 weeks to find alternative financing. I suggest you use them wisely. I blocked all their numbers after that. The end of the month arrived. According to my attorney's report, they'd failed to secure backing. The bank called the loan. Anderson Manufacturing declared bankruptcy on the 1st of the following month. The business was liquidated. The building sold at auction. The equipment went for pennies on the dollar. 43 employees were laid off. Dad's retirement savings, which he'd used as collateral for additional business loans, were seized. My parents' house went into foreclosure. Uncle Marcus filed for personal bankruptcy. I learned all this through business reports, not from them. They'd stopped trying to contact me. 6 weeks after Dad's birthday party, I received a letter, physical mail, delivered to my office. The envelope had Dad's return address. Inside was a single piece of paper with 4 words in his handwriting. You destroyed our family. I held the letter for a long moment. Then I pulled out my phone and composed a response. I took a photo of the letter and texted it to Dad's number, still blocked, but he'd see it eventually if he checked. My message was simple. You destroyed our family. Real family only, remember? I was just never real enough. I never heard from them again. My firm continues to thrive. The $2 million that had been tied up in their guarantee was reinvested into a tech startup now valued at $40 million. I attend business conferences, serve on charity boards, and manage my investments. Sometimes I walk past the building that used to house Anderson Manufacturing. It's a gym now. No trace remains of the family business that operated there for 38 years. I don't feel guilty. I don't feel vindictive. Mostly, I don't feel anything at all. They taught me that family is defined by blood. I simply taught them that survival is defined by capital. We all learned our lessons that year. Real family only. They meant it. So did I.